Self-proclaimed Bitcoin inventor Craig Wright lost a Bitcoin copyright claim in a UK court earlier this week. The UK judge found that the file format of the Bitcoin blockchain, the sequence of header and list of transactions that together form a block, can't be protected by copyright, and Wright couldn't show how they were first recorded. Joining us now with more is Louise Abbott. She's a partner at Keystone Law. Louise, thanks for joining us. So Craig Wright claims he wrote the 2008 Bitcoin white paper, that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin, and so that he should be able to block the operation of Bitcoin and the system that forked from it, which is Bitcoin Cash, because they breach his intellectual property rights. I mean, what evidence and, what did the judge have to say, the jury trial had to say about that?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Thanks for having me. The judge essentially ruled that he could not rely on copyright laws and that they would not protect him. But in short, he tried to argue, as you rightly said, that he created and wrote the 2008 Bitcoin white paper and has tried to prevent them from going ahead and being used, both that and the fork company. Now, in order for something to be protected by copyright, one has to provide or prove to the court that it is an original piece of work, something that's a tangible that has tangible property. So that would be a written work, such as a book or painting or a photograph. But here the judge found that under the current law in this jurisdiction, it could not be established that a sequence of blockchain technology or transaction history was sufficient enough to prove who actually created that or who that belongs to. So it was not capable of being subjected to copyright laws, and therefore he lost his case.
What did Wright have as evidence that he was involved in the beginnings of Bitcoin?
He was asked on numerous occasions by the judge, as I understand it, to put forward further evidence. The judge in his judgment said that Wright had been given ample opportunity to put forward evidence and that he failed to do so. There was some suggestion that he did have evidence, but the fonts weren't available at the time, and therefore he wasn't able to put forward that evidence to the court. So the court could see no evidence as to who actually created the original workings for the transactional history, which he did present to the court.
Wow. Wright's claim also was made against a host of defendants associated with Bitcoin, including several units of crypto exchange Coinbase. How were they involved in this picture?
So there's a separate legal action. Wright is pursuing a separate claim against 16 other defendants in terms of some of it's relating to copyright infringement, but largely in relation to breaches of claims of fiduciary duties. And he's bringing that claim through his Seychelles company. And that claim is entitled to proceed to a full trial. So we will see that the claims against those defendants move forward. That's probably not likely to be heard, I wouldn't have thought, until next year now. But that will go to a full trial, and a judge will be able to look at those cases on the merits during trial. But the claim in relation to the copyright is over.
So in relation to this case, then, how could you even be able to block the operation of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash? I mean, how did he even see that actually in operation in reality?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure is the answer to that. I don't know what he thought he would get from this, but presumably from looking at the pleadings in the case, he was of the view that if he could prove that he owned the copyright, he would therefore be able to keep that ownership of that, and nobody else would be able to control it. So he could prevent others from using it, and he could do as he wished. So, for example, if he didn't want to use it at all, then that was his prerogative. But the judge, as I said, the judge was very clear that something like a Bitcoin file format is not capable or susceptible to copyright laws in this jurisdiction.
The judge also spoke about claims concerning copyright to the 2008 white paper of Bitcoin and whether Wright is really the author. That will be subject to later rulings?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that matter will be heard at a trial at a later date. So that part of the claim is allowed to proceed, and we will see a determination on that too. Again, likely I would have thought to be next year.
Mm-hmm. Also, last week, the UK Court of Appeal ruled that a claim by Wright's tulip trading against 16 Bitcoin developers should go to trial in London. This is a separate case that you were talking about?
Yeah, that's a separate case. That's the claim I mentioned. That's his Seychelles company, and he's pursuing claims against them for various different breaches of fiduciary duties, basically alleging that there's various claims about the wrongdoing in which they're conducting and operating Bitcoin.
Did the Oslo case ever come up in this? Because in the Oslo case, it was found that, there was no evidence that he was Satoshi Nakamoto, and that people who said that he was a fraud had a right to freedom of expression. Did any of those findings make their way here?
Yes, they did. It was referred to, and as you've said, there was some evidence put forward. In the Oslo case, multiple witnesses offered forensic evidence about the documents supplied by Wright, purporting to back up his claim, and it was with reference to the fact that these fonts weren't available at the time, and that's why he couldn't produce this evidence. But the English courts did not accept that, unless there is hard, tangible evidence as to actual original works that could be copyrighted. If he was able, for example, to have produced those, then those works may well have been subjected to copyright. But there was nothing that the English court could say was a tangible asset. No actual work was identified containing content which actually is capable of falling under the copyright laws in this jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. And based on our reporting at CoinDesk, Craig Wright has been given permission to appeal the Norwegian court ruling concerning his claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin. Do you know what the next steps are in all these legal proceedings? Hard to keep track.
Yes, there's a lot going on. I don't think he's yet got permission to appeal against the English court decision this week, and that permission was refused. He asked for permission straight away, and he was refused permission. He still has an opportunity to request permission to appeal, and he could do that within 21 days. I don't know whether he's done that yet, but in relation to the outstanding issues we discussed, those issues will go on to trial, and that will progress during the course of this year, and likely to see a full trial in London in the early part of next year.
All right. Well, Louise, thank you so much for joining us and breaking it all down for us. That was Keystone Law Partner Louise Abbott.